Hello. So this is video I've lost track. This is after you have been folding your dough every 30 minutes. I'm currently 4 hours in. This is the point where you're going to want to dump the dough out into a non-floured surface. The non-flour is very important at this stage to do two forms of shaping. The first one, you're going to just use a bench scraper. It's a very handy tool in this scenario. And the second one, you will use some flour. And there is a kind of a certain technique to fold it over and to get it to a shape to fit in one of the final places for it to do kind of a bulk rise and to kind of do its own I don't want to say flavor bursting type thing, like just a bulk rise. The shaping is important because it builds tension on the surface, because right now it's kind of loose, and that'll help it rise and spread out and get bigger and do its thing, the bread rising thing. In this scenario, so normally earlier in the video today I told you I did a 700 grams of flour, and that's what I use for my calculations. But I don't normally do that much. I'm doing that much this time just because I'm doing two different containers to show you both sides of it. Normally I do around 500, 550, and that's enough to fit in one of my Bannetons, or enough to do a kind of a 6x9 loaf pan. So there is some prep work that goes into some of this. It usually involves some butter, or it involves rice flour or regular flour. You can kind of do whatever you want. Rice flour tends to work a little bit better in the scenario that I'm going to tell you, because it helps soak up the moisture a little bit more, and it keeps it from sticking, but it doesn't add like regular flour tendencies to the flour, just because we're trying to keep that moisture content the same. So I'm going to show you the first shaping, and then I'm going to cut and then show you preparing the two areas, because they each have their own method of prepping, and each one is going to be a little bit different. This is going to be like a regular loaf that you would buy in a store. This one is going to be a bowl, almost like you would pick up at Harris Teeter, or just a big old slice like country loaf bread that you would pick up at a fine, I don't know, a place that sells groceries. So here's the shaping, and then I will pause and do the next step. So dump it out. So this step is going to seem a little intimidating at first because of the moisture content. It is going to be real sticky, and you're not going to feel like you're getting much done. But I promise you, the more that you mess with it on this unfloured surface, the easier it is going to get to use it. So in the beginning here, I'm going to go ahead and just cut it down the middle just to split it up. Normally this is not what I do because I don't normally have this much dough. I'm just going to get this out of the way. So as you can tell, it's even sticking to this. But the move here is to kind of use the friction of the tabletop kind of help give it that defined shape. And that's a kind of a swirl and tuck move, like that. And you can kind of see you're getting that kind of balled up tension. You can kind of see, and now it's still a little bit, it's tacky, but it's not really bad. And this thing will be about the same. That was a horrible noise, I'm sorry. I'm using one of our bowls as a means to hold the GoPro, but that's kind of where they are. And that is what they're calling the first shaping. And the next video will show you what to do with the next. Now at this point, you can put some flour on it, just so it's a little bit easier to touch and not much goes wrong. So I will sprinkle some on here, so when you next see the video, there will be a dusting of flour over this. But that's you want to do that after you get it to this point. So see you shortly. All right, so this is a little flour kind of duster. It's quite a handy tool. You don't necessarily have to have this, but I've discovered it makes my life a lot easier. This is rice flour, and what we'll do is, for the Banneton, it's as easy as kind of just dust it to get a good coverage. And it's best to go overboard with this, just simply because you can always dust the excess off, whereas if you don't use enough, it could get stuck, and you never want that. It will be sitting in the refrigerator all night, so it's not that big a deal, and that'll keep it the stickiness from going too out of control. But the it's best to go overboard on that, trust me. This one, I just use butter to grease it. There's really no mystery to that. I mean, you've seen it once, you've seen it 100 times. And then with the surface here, just kind of dusting it. Just to kind of give it a nice smooth surface that you can kind of use to manipulate it. And I will show you the next part after this, because this step, the first shaping, you kind of want to just let sit for about 10 minutes to let it do its thing. So next video will be a final shaping. All right, so we're back to the dough sitting in kind of a relaxed state. A floured surface, because this dough is going to be a little bit sticky. What this is a process of kind of folding the dough on itself. You kind of stretch it out to a rectangle, fold it over on itself, and then kind of use a stitching technique to kind of bring it together, and that builds the tension on the surface of the dough to help give it that that rise when the heat hits it. So we're going to try this, and let's see where it goes. So you want to stretch it out to a rectangle. It is sticky. And the first step is to kind of just fold it across itself. It's going to be sticky enough to where it's going to stick. Fold it. Fold it. And then the move here is to kind of just roll it up on itself. And then you can kind of just shape it from here, because you just want to fold all that underneath. Get that tension. And then this thing can go into the loaf pan as is, seam down. And that will expand. Then number 2. This one's a little bit bigger, so I'm going to put this in the... Hopefully you're not just getting a picture of the shelf right now. Fold. 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 Let's go ahead and get this over here. Roll. Roll. Now this one is a little bit different. This one you want seam up. Now here you can see it's not necessarily sticking that well, so what I do is I tend to pinch it together. It's not super mission critical that this happens, because it's going to sit overnight in the fridge, and this will all definitely just come together. With this one, it's fine. You can kind of leave it as is. For this one, you do want to go ahead and get yourself a little bit more flour, just to make sure that all the edges are kind of used. Nice and covered. We can go ahead and put a little bit on this, I guess. And we're done. Just made a giant mess. Don't care. Now, these will go in the refrigerator all night. It's best to do it for 12 to 24 hours. You can even leave it in there. We've done 2 days, which is probably what I'll do with one of these. The cold will make it slow down the fermentation or whatever is going on there, the rise. So you're just kind of doing a bulk rise within the refrigerator. That is a good thing. That slow rise is also help kind of building some of that flavor. But just to give it a little bit of a head start, I tend to keep it out of the refrigerator for an hour beforehand. So this is just a shower cap. It's been quite useful. You may not want to do that. You may find that you have something else or a device that's actually used for something like this. But I do cover it, and I keep these out for at least an hour before putting in the refrigerator for the rest of the night. So I think that's it. We'll get this out eventually, and I will show you the next step once these are sat around in the fridge all night. So thanks. Bye.